for the Bears and the Commanders. Full coverage on Sunday right here on the home of the Bears, ESPN 1000. So it looks like, Tom, we're not going to get Jayden Daniels. It looks like Marcus Mariota at this point in time, the quarterback for Washington. So what do you think of that matchup now? Caleb off the bye, the Bears off the bye, and maybe the backup for Washington.
One thing about Marcus Mariota, Jayden Daniels is a better athlete. He has a better arm strength. He's got a better versatility when he runs the ball. However, Marcus Mariota is a better RPO quarterback. And if you don't play disciplined defensive end football for the Bears, and if you overreact to a play fake on the inside, Marcus Mariota will make you pay for it. The first play that he got inserted in the game, he ran an RPO. The defensive end overplayed the football, and he took it around the right end for about 8 yards. So, you can't go to sleep on the guy. He's got stats when you look up what he's been able to do. However, he'll also throw interceptions. And then when you look at the offensive line of the Commanders, their right tackle missed for a concussion, didn't practice. His backup, Lucas, has a neck injury. Their center has a bad thumb, and their left guard has got a bad ankle. So there's more areas that maybe you can exploit if you go and you assume who's going to be playing or who's going to be playing not less than 100%.
Tom, what have you noticed has been different or I guess what's been working well for the offense over these last 3 games, especially as Caleb's distributed the ball to more receivers and kind of built that momentum in the flow, as he's talked about?
In the flow, that's the perfect ending to that, question, because in the flow is keeping the receivers on tempo, being able to throw the ball on the move so they have some yards after catch. And sometimes it's not significant. It's just leading them to the right catch point so they can get the first down or get an extra yards after the fact. You think of the pass with a fake right, fake left, fake right, Cole Kmet in the middle, and having some separation from the first attacking defensive back that puts Cole in they put him in control of the outcome of that play, and he was able to lower shoulder and run over a defensive back at the goal line. And it's the efficiency of the way Caleb delivers the ball. And that's one of the things that I think about this Commanders defense. If Caleb is able to have time, deliver the football efficiently to the wide receivers and tight ends and backs, I think they're going to have extra yards after catch before contact. But again, you can't deny the fact that DeAndre Swift, his versatility, the running game, how it helps the overall offense work more efficially.
Tom, through the last 3 games, what is your letter grade for the evolving offensive line?
Larry, I'm going to give it but this is my concern though, because I do have concern going forward. So yeah, I'm going to give them a high C+, even maybe a B-, because they've gone out there and, got DeAndre Swift in the running game actively involved. They've been running screens really well. They've been running outside zone plays really well. My concern though, J Hood and Dion, is Dion, you were in London, so it was more of a Bears crowd than it was a Jacksonville crowd. And then they come off of 2 home games. So Caleb has been in control of the volumes count at the line of scrimmage when he has those types of supportive crowds. I think Washington's going to be a loud crowd atmosphere. And so now, does the offensive line still as efficient as they've been at home with the snap count, then they will be going on the road when they have a non-volume snap count. And so that is a big obstacle to overcome when we're talking about the first 6 games, and we've had a lot of question marks about the offensive line. Now, going forward, when you take these 2 games into consideration, and then down the road, when you still go to Green Bay, you go to Detroit on Thanksgiving, and you still go to Minnesota. So that's one thing that this offense on Judgment Day is going to be the big telltale sign if the offensive line is getting better or not.
It's what you talked about, Dion, before, in that this is an opportunity for the Bears to have their first true road win. Mm-hmm. And could imagine with that environment. And there's going to be Bears fans in Virginia also, in D.C. It's going to be so – that'll be interesting on the road with this offensive line, a hostile environment. How does this work, right?
Yeah, for sure. And, Tom, I agree. The offensive line, to me, is still does have some question marks around it. So with that in mind, it's hard to believe the trade deadline is coming as quickly as it is. But do you expect the Bears, to be active over the next week and a half or so?
I don't think on the offensive line. You know, I think when you get Larry Bourne back and you got Ryan Bates coming back, and I think Bill Murray was a good experiment, and you got Tevin and Matt Pryor, you know, being a bigger bodies to attack on the interior, and Coleman Shelton has been playing better over the last couple weeks than he did the first couple weeks. So trade deadline, you know, I'm not looking for, you know, that fix a flat. When you get a flat tire, you can squirt something in there and then fix your flat tire until you really get it fixed. Mm-hmm. I don't think that player is out there. And I still listen. Give me Jacob Martin. Give me Daniel Hardy. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for some outside pass, pressure and rotation and stuff, there's still a couple of guys here that we need an opportunity to see. So, you know, Dion, I don't think there's that miracle cure out there.
What I was so impressed with, Tom, with the last victory for the Bears is we hear all the time from you as a player or from coaches, next man up. I was so impressed by the injuries in the secondary and others being able to step up. What stood out most about the secondary? No, you know, Brisker, Stevenson, Gordon, no, but you still get others to be able to fill the bill.
Right. I think the way they complemented the overall defensive front seven, you didn't have to change anything about the way you go about business with the defensive personnel that they had in the game. And so to me, it was super encouraging. But, you know, J Hood, last year when we talked about all these players getting snaps in the defensive backfield, we said, wow, I think this is going to pay dividends going forward. And then you have a senior voice of reason in there in Byard that is able to help make sure that everybody's in the right place. And if he feels somebody is in the wrong place according to down distance formation, I think that he can fill in that responsibility. And Jaylon Johnson, they're throwing away from him so much. You kind of know where they want to go with the ball. So if you have to balance your defense according to the personnel in the game accordingly, then you have the luxury of doing that. But to me, if I want to see Kyler Gordon get healthy and back in the game because he's the most deployable weapon the Bears have that can stay in an unaccountable distance from the line of scrimmage. Because if he's standing outside the feet of the linebacker, he's not responsibility of the offensive line. Now, if he starts messing around towards the defensive line and in between that linebacker and defensive line depth, then he's got to be accounted for. But he can rush from a variety of positions that make him almost an uncommitted attacker to any offensive scheme.
Read that, Dion, about Jaylon Johnson, because Tom just talked about it.
Jaylon Johnson has played in 20 games since the start of the 2023 season. He has allowed less than 10 yards in coverage in half of those games, Tom.
That's sick.
Oh, my God.
And the thing about it is,
wait a minute.
I think that, we talked about it before with you guys about the Bears always searching for that alpha male personality. And I think Jaylon is that guy, and he's living up to that responsibility. So Jaylon, since he's come aboard here as a rookie, we're all impressed with his physique and how good he looked and his willingness to tackle. And I think that the coaches up there at the Bears, all the defensive back coaches, have really, allowed him to improve his skills and his fundamentals and all of his responsibilities. So I'm happy for Jaylon. He talked about how he thought he deserved the money that he got, and he got the money he deserved.
He's grown, I feel like, so much and matured so much even over the last couple of seasons too, Tom, like really become that vocal leader, more confident in who he is on and off the field.
Oh, I agree, Dion. And, that's what the Bears were searching for. Who was going to be that kind of outspoken guy that not says necessarily look at me, but look at me because I'm up to what you're asking me to do. And I love the personalities of Tremaine and TJ because those guys are just soft-spoken leaders that they do it by effort and display. And so I just like that there's someone there that may take a little bit microphone responsibility that's needed on this team.
So what are the keys, especially defensively for the Bears in this matchup against Washington, Tom? Because here's what we know. And looking at the last game that Washington played against Carolina, Robinson can run the football well. They ran for 214 yards on the ground against a bad Carolina team last week. But what are some of the things they have to look out for? Because I think when I see Washington, I see a team that says, oh, McLaurin now has some help with Ertz and others that could be able to catch the football that's been helping Daniels out.
just don't overreact on the line of scrimmage. Fulfill your responsibility according to the huddle called and the defense you're playing. If you're a defensive end, don't overreact to a ball fake to Brian Robinson or Austin Eckler, because Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler are good, versatile running backs, and they can catch the ball as well as run the ball with a little bit of deception. And then if you have Marcus Mariota, look, man, this guy's only looking to be a fill-in for 1 or 2 games. So he's going to do whatever it takes in order to get that next first down. So just responsible defense with all those guys. And then, like you mentioned, McLaren, the guy's legit. He's a speedster. And like Jayden Daniels, even if he was covered, they still threw him the ball. And so I do think that Marcus Mariota will do the same thing. If he feels McLaren is covered, he'll still put it out in front of him to give him a catchable opportunity.
Okay, take us down memory lane in 85 when the Bears kicked the Redskins' tail 45-10. But Joe Theismann was the quarterback.
Oh, I got a great story about that game.
Okay.
So it's the first game that I'm actually starting as a Chicago Bear. I was inserted the week before against Minnesota on the big comeback. So now this is the first game I'm getting ready to start. And I'm playing against Dave Butts, who's another local guy. And at the time, he's like 6'7", 320, 330 pounds. He's a big man. And so I play the whole game. Dave Butts, at the end of the game, was credited with 1 assist tackle. But in the fourth quarter, we're winning 40-something, and I get a holding call. Ditka pulls me from the game, brings me to the sideline, just yells at me, just relentlessly. He's in my face. We don't do that this way in the NFL. That may be good enough in the USFL, but that's not the way we go about business here. And I'm going, I don't know what to say. I didn't say anything. And then I go and sit on the sideline, and then they put in Tom Andrews, and I'm looking at Dick Stanfield, my offensive line coach. I'm going, Dick, I don't know what. He goes, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. It'll pass. And so then about 3 plays later, Dick grabs me by the shoulder pad and says, get back in the game, and I don't want to see that happen again. And I think I went like 2 years without a holding call because I was so scared. But I remember that game as well, and it's just that's something that, as good as the game was, that's something I've always remembered about that game.
That is an awesome story.
45-10.
That is so great.
The Bears beat Washington. McMahon's the quarterback, 13 for 19, good for 160 yards, 3 touchdowns. Walter threw a touchdown that game as well.
A great catch by McMahon. As a toss 28 near Geo throwback. That was the name of the play, and it was just an unbelievable catch by McMahon. And Joe Theismann had, I think, a negative 2-yard punt in that game as well.
I think that's right. I'm looking through the stats now. Yep. This is great. The sacks by Dent, Tyrone Keys, Wilbur Marshall, and Mongo. 4 sacks against Theismann.
So that's the first game I'm getting ready to start, and I'm in the locker room, and I'm really nervous. And I told you how big Dave Butts was.
Yeah.
And he had this persona in the NFL. He was bigger than life. In the old Soldier Field, it used to make this weird noise when you were in the locker room, like just somebody just ran and the building would shake. And so we're sitting there before kickoff, and I'm sitting in front of my locker, and all of a sudden that noise came, and the whole building shook like that. Mongo goes, "Hey, Tommy, Dave Butts just got here."
Trying to scare you.
Oh man, just breaking the levity, man. And that's why I love McMichael so much, is his pregame locker room motivation, but also going, hey, it's almost like a slap on the back and just saying, let's go out there and do this.
So full coverage on Sunday for the Bears and the Washington Commanders as always, Tom. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming.